Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahushai, Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahushai, Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Chakodash, that belongs to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well. Salutations to the hopeful elect out there, you Akib to Sadakim that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. This week's topic is going to be going into friends using AI to frame, people using AI to frame their friends with CCTV footage. Of course, it's going to be something shorter, but that's really the gist of the lesson, okay? The Sora 2 app, people are going absolutely bonkers with it. And one of the things they're doing is they have like CCTV footage, and CCTV footage, it could look like choppy, it could look grainy, so it's like, it's easier to make it look authentic. And then they're framing their friends like stealing or whatever. But the first thing that came to my mind was something said a while ago, that look, don't be surprised if they use our voice, they use video of us to frame us, to get us locked up. And I said us, I'm talking about the prophets of the Lord, because our apostles and elders on down here at Great Millstones, we've always told brothers and sisters to be law-abiding citizens. Don't break the law. We know that we're made subject unto payments. Render unto Caesar what Caesar. Be hospitable and all these sorts of things. So they're not going to be able to really pin no crime on us, because we don't do crimes. But what they could do is they could skew our words, all right? They could have fake footage, and they got copies of all of our voices. And these people don't even see. They just think it's all entertainment. And no, Esau don't do shit for just pure, it's fun. Look at AI, it's fun. No, there's always something nefarious behind it if you dig deep enough. It's the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 11. It says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, so-called white man being Satan, not the spiritual demon Satan. For we're not ignorant of his devices. And the so-called white man's devices are craft, his technology, his miracles, as the scripture says in the book of Revelations, the 16th chapter. But like I said, you have to have the eyesight. The Most High Yahweh Bashim Yahushua have to have you have that perception to see things that way. Revelations 3:18 says, I counsel thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire, that thou mayest be rich. Right? That gold is talking about acceptable men, right? Ecclesiasticus or Sirach, 2nd chapter, 1 on down tells you, speaks about, gold for men. Gold are men that's tried in the furnace of adversity. We're made purified through our afflictions. I thank the Lord for all the hard shit I've been through, man, because it builds character. It builds you up. If you're an individual that hasn't gone through shit, it's just like, where's the character building? That's how come they say a welfare case and a trust fund baby is the same thing. A welfare case is somebody that's like, we're relying on the government to ease our problems. A trust fund baby is your parents was rich and they just passed you everything. It's like pretty much two sides of the same quarter, because both these individuals haven't really been through anything, like that's the whole thing. But when you go through struggles and all these sorts of things, you learn a lot of different characteristics in life, responsibility, all these sorts of things, So when the Most High puts us through hell, of course, at the present time, it sucks. It's a sucky feeling. But you always reflect, like, damn, if I'd have never gone through that, what would I have learned now? You know what I'm saying? So that's how the Most High tries us and build up our faith in this truth. You can't give testimony about losing shit or going through shit with your family, going through shit with your job, unless the Most High puts you through those situations. Because there's one thing to quote scriptures, but it's a whole different level to understand what the scriptures are saying by living these life experiences. Reading on in Revelations, the 3rd chapter, it says, I counsel thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire, that thou mayest be rich, and white raiment, that thou mayest be clothed. That white raiment is talking about a pure doctrine. You know what I'm saying? That's what white represents, pure. That's how come the so-called white man calls himself white, because white represents purity, and when he called us black, void of light, negative, It's all word semantics. But the garment, again, scriptures speak about what? Clothing yourself with righteousness. The righteousness is the proper doctrine. Scriptures talk about punishing those with strange apparels. All right, that's these guys that's going to have different false doctrines, man. The Lord wants you to come, when the Lord come back, he wants us to be teaching pure and right doctrine that we believe through the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua has been bestowed upon the apostles and the elders on down of Great Millstone. And, you know, the few others that do teach the same exact thing, you know. It's really about what you teach. It says that thou mayest be clothed, and that the shame of thy nakedness do not appear. Right, and the nakedness represents sin. You know, when you read about Adam and Eve being in the garden and it says they were naked, it doesn't mean they didn't have clothes on. Okay, it means they didn't have sin. The Bible is filled with slang talk. That's another reason letting you know that the Bible was put together by Jake, the Most High's of Jake, Israelites. Because, well, how we talk, right? An Israelite could say, I'm going to make bread. He could be talking about money. He could be talking about actual bread. You know what I'm saying? There's mad people outside. There could be crazy people outside, or mad could mean a lot of people. And you know what's crazy? When you go into the Lashon Kodash, the same word for like very lot amount is mad, like MAAD. So that's all spiritual. But nakedness is just another form of slang, if you will. All right, that they nakedness, that they sin be not seen. It says that their sin do not appear, or nakedness do not appear, sorry, and anoint thine eye with eye salve. So eye salve, it goes back to like the owls, right? So you got these different levels of wisdom, and they're associated with animals, right? Like the low level is like, let's say for example, like monkeys, right? Monkey see, monkey do. You just copy what you see. Or a parrot. A parrot can speak Spanish. All right, a parrot can fluently speak Spanish, but it doesn't understand what it's saying, you know, so like that. When you start going up in levels of wisdom now, you have the owl and the dragon, right? The owl is associated with wisdom because it can see in the dark. And what's able to make an owl see in the dark is it has a special oil behind its eye. So eye salve was used as like, you know, ointment for the eyes, but the way the scriptures is saying through the spirit is the eye salve is able to make you see through the dark. You know, there's a potato chips. There's a potato chips called Wise, right? Wise potato chips, and the symbol that they use is the eye of an owl. You know what I'm saying? So that eye is it being able to see things like when everybody was all wrapped up in, let's say, selfies, right? Oh, so I'm taking a selfie now, because prior to selfies, you'd have somebody take a picture of you, right? But they brought selfies in, and you taking mad selfies with your phone. Should I do it too? I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm not doing that. But if you have the eye salve, you could say they just doing that so they could do facial recognition. They could just load up a database filled with hella pictures of you, you know? Or let's say social media. So-called white man will say, okay, we want them to tell us every single thing that they're doing. But if we outright say, look, tell us every single thing you're doing, people won't do that. We have to make it cool. Hence, social media. Where you at? Remember, like, you remember Dextel with the chirps? Where you at? They made that cool. Like, yo, I'm here, I'm here. Or, we outside, we outside. They making it cool to tell your location and whereabouts, and really you should want to respect your privacy, you know what I'm saying? But again, that's just having that eyes out to say, you know, the so-called white man and his think tanks, they even got Jake amongst the think tanks because, you know, just how Jake think, they need a Jake in there. They show you that in Undercover Brother, how we could get these niggas to smoke cigarettes, and Undercover Brother was in that think tank, you know? They made a joke about it, but they really showing you and shit, like this how it goes down. You know, we plot, we scheme, we come up with these different things, all right, to say how can we put these, how can we control the masses of these Israelites, you see? But yeah, that's the eye salve to see. So when this AI thing comes around, and, you know, Google Voice using AI to trick people in how, you know, through how, on a phone call, we see the nefariousness behind it. Because while we have the eye self, we know the nature of this devil. It says, so if you might think all hell break loose, you think it's your for example, you could think it's your woman on the line. She crying and help, you go over there, next thing you know, you in a trap. So you might want to say, look, what's our safe code, or what's our, like, how you have your own password? You might have to put your phone to the side somewhere, because the phone records everything you do, and say, look, God forbid something happened, this is our safe word, so I know it's you, type shit. You know what I'm saying? That's like thinking ahead. All right. It says, and anoint thine eyes with eye salve, that thou mayest see. Brothers should even have that amongst themselves, now that I'm thinking about it. I mean, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is with us, of course. But that would be something good to say. Like, yo, turn off your phone, put your phone, you just talk with a brother you close to, because Esau, they'll use a brother that's close to you. I'll say for her, what's I say for her, so I know it's you. XYZ, boom. Revelation 16 and 14. It says, for they are the spirit of devils working miracles, which go forth onto the kings of the earth. Right, what the so-called white man is doing today is a level of miracle, man. This AI thing is crazy. So they got apps where they could just get a picture of somebody, and somebody else could be talking, and they can make it look like that person is talking. They got they can make it look like you committed crimes on CCTV. They manipulate your voice. It's wild, And what comes to my mind is, if this is what they're releasing to the public, imagine the shit they really got. Because a lot of the shit that we see is like old tech. It starts with the government. The government has first dibs on it, and then it gets released to the masses, like drones. Drones was a part of the 1957 Blackbird. You didn't really see drones like that on the streets until like 60 years later type shit. Almost 60, 70 years later. It says, even like DVDs and VR. You can look it up. They had DVD ROMs or CD ROMs, and then they had like VRs way back. Then they released it to the public. It says, and if you notice something, it's happening very fast, because it wasn't too long ago, man, when I was in Jamaica, and we were dialing like this. Now, granted, Jamaica, we behind, but we was using this, the rotary shit, for a little bit. Then phones came in, and then it's just been exponential. It's been exponential. It's the knowledge and the technology, how fast it's going. It says, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and the whole world, to gather them to the battle of that great day of the Most High Almighty. Yo, every movie, a lot of movies, when they show like what's gonna be the ultimate future, like they go like, oh, eventually World War III will happen. Nukes. What's drawing that inspiration? Scriptures, is prophecies. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua did not give this man this understanding and technology to make these missiles just to have them stay stationary somewhere in a bunker. They will be used. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of when the Most High moves the prophecies forward. It's inevitable. Just like my man Thanos said, I am inevitable. It's the missiles, man. Ezekiel 28:3 says, behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee. Right, so the so-called white man is making a diligent search to know everything about you. All right, your entire life you've been posting your whereabouts. You've been posting shit about social media. That's how, if you watch The Matrix, that's how the Oracle worked. All right, they thought it was a human being that could see in the future, but really it was just an advanced program, or AI if you will, okay, that just knows everything about the decisions you've made from a baby up to the point where it can make a valid prediction of what you might do next. Like, let's say for example, you always eat pizza and you put a little cheese or whatever on it, whatever. More than likely when you're going to get your next pizza, that's what you're going to do. So that's how it will work to like a maximum level, to the point where it will like predict things. You know, like you might step backwards if you hear this word. See? So the so-called white man makes a diligent search, all right, to know everything about everybody, you know? Your favorite brands, what type of job you might work, all this type of shit. And don't be surprised, again, Minority Report, they take it to the level to say, oh, now we know somebody might be a shooter. You know, because the Minority Report, they was using precognition and locking up people for crimes that they are going to commit, not even that they did it. So that shows you, you know, where the fuck the so-called white man's mind is, man. Complete oppression, trying to be like the Most High. You can't predict a man's steps. A man's goings are the Lord's, but this is what this devil is trying to do. He's very close with doing that. Daniel 12:4 says, but though, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. And when is the end? The end happened when Yahushua stepped foot on earth, and Yahushua, pursuant to the book of Revelations, the 5th chapter, let loose the seals, meaning the understanding of these scriptures and prophecies. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased, right? Knowledge shall be increased. So we know now what the hell is, you know, knowledge shall be increased. The technology where we're at, you know, even the understanding of the scriptures, a lot have been increased in these times, letting us know what? The end is nigh, man. The end is near. You know, and you got to get right with the Heavenly Father. People like to do shit last minute, but this is one thing you definitely don't want to do last minute, is trying to get right with the Heavenly Father. Once this shit kick, snowball effect. You know, all the pieces are aligning right there. AI is going to play a big part in end time prophecies. You know, you see how they got like controlled helicopters and shit like that. It's going to be heavy. It's going to be heavy. It's heavy in the military. It's going to play a huge role in the end. So we're in them times, man. I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahushua, Ba'Hashem Kodash, that belongs to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well. Salutations to the hopeful elect out there, you Akim to Zadakim, that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. Shalom.